Great. Well, thank you so much, Dan. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And special thanks go out to Alice and Cesar for believing in me and featuring me in Haight Ashbury Literary Journal. So thank you so much. It's a real pleasure. And also, I had no idea that Dan, this evening is devoted to coming home, as very relevant to my collection called A Stranger Home. So I'm going to read a couple of poems. They're not all related. First one is called The Toddler Spirit. The toddler spirit romps through the house. She opens shutters, clutters cutlery, chases the cat out of her fierce love. Her red hair a comet flame, the toddler spirit cries with abandon over spilled milk. Beatific in her suffering, the toddler spirit is sassy when we frown. When she is still as a bowl of morning light, you can see a warm wind play in the corners of her dimples, mussing her hair. She loves to watch geese fly in formation, wonders at her broccoli, whirls around to a song. The toddler spirit watches and waits, waits and wonders. And then, as if wound by a clockmaker, she begins again, whirling in wild circles, a whir of curls and soft limbs. She wolfs down her oranges, her ham, bread cubes, and pasta. Then she dances and hides. Thank you, toddler spirit, for your dumpling feet and crabapple cheeks, for making me brave the February cold, for smashing your warm head again and again into my lap, for coaxing a smile from me on days when my reflection doesn't match the mirror's gaze the night before. When you press your head into my breast as I nurse you when the day is done, you want to absorb everything left of me, and I give in to the quiet of your skin, your soft eyes, the cozy, unhurried cadence of days we waltz to this winter. Next poem is called Alchemy. Excuse me. Um, wait. There we go. Alchemy. We will lament those slow, violent evenings we've spent by the window waiting, afraid to make the slightest shift to the room's ratio of light galloping, crisscrossing shadows. At night, our voices are thin and lonely, like voices of children frightened by the screech of a car, the whir of a nocturnal animal. We will wonder about the gloved fingers touching our stark ingredients of life, spinning egg and sperm into a thing that's alive, with the quiet stealth of a master chef spinning a souffle from air and sweetness. Do these fingers bear rings, a wedding band, nails polished or bitten raw? Are they hands that caress the piano, the spine of a cat? Do we trust them more than we trust our bodies? The doctor's voice is low. We run out of breath spinning circles round that petri dish. Carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen bathed in the primordial soup, and from this lazy lolling of gases were born stars and grasses. We're ready for a flower to furiously split itself in two, then four, then eight. We're also ready for nothing. The phone rings. You make a lunge for the door, then stop. We and the longing inside us have nowhere else to go. There's a prose poem, The Paper Mother. The Paper Mother. I was missing my mom. Naomi said, I know just what to do. She drew a cutout of my mom and pasted her above my bed. The paper mother was sporting a full head of red hair and was smiling with hope. I realized I could transfer my grief onto this totem that would absorb it, hold it close instead of wishing it away. It's been 2 years and you're over it, right? A friend said. Don't you know it? I smirked silently, watching stars harden inside me like icicles. The paper mother watched over me while I slept. The only thing that made me crumble in the face of Naomi's gentleness her good intentions was that the mother was made of paper. She had no hands or mouth, no strong heart or kind will. She was literally two-dimensional. Hastily drawn, taped to the wall carelessly, she still hangs above my bed to watch over my dreams. Sporting stylish boots, a flower blooming across her chest, her hands in a permanent embrace. The paper mother remains next to the photographs of my real mother at my wedding and her visiting me in San Francisco. As my eyes blur close to bedtime, I wonder which picture of her is more real. Stole that from Borges. Borges and I. Childhood home, getting more into the theme of home. And it's very interesting because my husband and I and our family are about to leave New York, which is home. So it's very appropriate, feels very appropriate to be reading it now. Childhood home, 1, Spheres, April 2017, the end. In supplication, she had placed some woven spheres into an earthy clay bowl, then arranged lacquered black vases like a talisman. Mama worshipped no one but Hestia, the Greek goddess of the hearth. Years later, in the sunlit room of my childhood home, the objects had no power to heal, their gaudy brightness a mockery of the dull days when the body retreats, refuses to fight, rolls into a dry ball of twigs. 2. The Allegory of Spain, June 2016, the beginning. On the walls of the sunlit living room, the maroon woman on horseback glides over a glittering city, her brown eyes sorrowful, her full mouth screaming, "This is joy, and I've earned it." The painted allegory of Spain is wearing flesh the color of raw meat, and it makes me sick that she watches over all meals, her rotund stomach a mockery of Mama's belly distended with fluid, the dull pain of waiting. Even the sunlight drones on like a song you hum when you run out of conversation. Mama greets me at the top of the stairs. I notice her thin arms, her face sallow as she stands there in her fuchsia robe, her hands slack and folded, her warm eyes peering beyond me and her life to a suspended now, frozen stiff like the screech of a bird one February morning. 3. Sushi, March 2017, the beginning of the end. Ramrod straight in a black blazer and makeup, oddly formal for morning. Mama is listless before a single piece of sushi, every grain of rice in place, bejeweled with wasabi, the salmon gleaming orange, the avocado crowning it all. Mama sits and stares as if food were the enemy, then leaves the table, the yellow room, our voices and bodies, the objects she's collected with such care over the years to combat loneliness and exhaustion. She blesses all the miniature sculptures, graduation pictures, Chinese scroll paintings. She blesses dusty vases made of old leaves, the platters of apple pie gleaming with sugar granules she had heaped on us with or without occasion. Longing to seize the colors of this life, Mama blesses the cracks of affection as she retreats to listen to the whoosh of branches at her window, the sputter of April rain, then nothing. As objects stare me down in the nearly empty house, I will remember this, the new meaning of home. The next one is a little different in theme, and it goes out to my wonderful husband, Ian Singleton. I heard the sea's voice in your voice and married you. I found it in the way you walk, raise a glass to your lips, bite off a piece of bread, with a sense of calm that makes my whole body listen to the timbre of your presence. When I get too far from you, the sea is faint in your gait and smile. But if I pause and listen, the sea wanders back into our movements, into the blue of your eyes, the light and the darkness soothing our nights, as our voices too get soft like water, and the way we love becomes a part of the sea's music as we rise and fall towards the single point, when the wave crests and releases us into the sea dark until we dive back to the surface through the halo of blue tang. We came to the islands to swim, but the waves made us watch and listen. Who are we becoming? To ourselves, to each other. The sea whirls us wild to its bosom. The water pulls us in with a hunger beneath the surface beckon white corals, black rocks, sharp and still, like words said at the night's close, when the drinks clink empty and the palm trees wish like someone stealthily walking. I watch you and your eyes move your whole body, this body that I know and love so well. I look at it from all angles like a child who turns over a stone to watch the sun glide onto its curves, caress its moist crevices. I slip the stone into my pocket, and you spring up from the sand, the lull of the sea, its many voices, lifting you into me, lilting our names so lips and legs listen, so our voices at last wander, spread out, begin to live. Okay, and I think I will just read two more. This poem that I'm going to read was actually featured on KALW. It's an honor that I'm proud to share with my good friend Susan Harvey, and I will send people who are interested the link. What if? Next time you ask, why the indoor picnics with kids? I'll say butterflies taste with their feet. We'll dance on the picnic blanket once we're done with our crackers and cheese. Our feet will taste of crumbs and cheddar, tango from San Francisco, magical carpets, and exhaustion. Split open, a caterpillar and a chrysalis is faceless goo. 2 days later, it's a monster of beauty, with wing veins, a maelstrom of color, the power of flight. What if quarantine ripens us for transformation? After being ensconced in our homes, we shall emerge with a changed face. The streets will smell of asphalt as if rain has fallen on the city, and the light will change to a feathery, pellucid haze. Silence will fall on the city, a certain hush, a split second before the folded wings unravel, the body tenses, the little larva angel flings itself into the blue, forgets it used to crawl, sprints its excuse me, let me start that stanza again. Silence will fall on the city, a certain hush, a split second before the folded wings unravel. The body tenses. The little larva angel flings itself into the blue, forgets it used to crawl, spreads its extremities into the wind, surrenders to nothingness. And the final poem I'd like to read tonight is taken from my work with a project called Я пишу з війни, Writings from Ukraine, Writings from the War. It's an archival project by a professor in Canada that I had the honor of helping with editing and translating. So this is based on the testimony of a Ukrainian refugee. Journey through Ladoga, based on the testimony of Marina from Kiev. The one thing you have to know for this poem is that the word didus means grandfather. Clutching the steering wheel, my didus warmed his hands in rags that he had set on fire as he drove through ice sheets and landmines to deliver parcels of food to the Leningrad blockade. My didus Naumenka Grigory Yevdokimovich lived in Kiev. He'd never seen Leningrad's ballets, nor the elegant symmetry of its bridges, the arches gracing the mirror of the Neva. But he'd heard of corpses lying in the street, of people delirious after eating sawdust, carpenter's glue, library paste, window putty, and plaster. For my dedush who survived Holodomor, famine was a childhood companion. In 1943, at 19, my dedush drove through blizzards, crossed Lake Ladoga, the road of life for the starving. In the ancient Vala monastery by the lake, the monks would pray for the hungry, their voices drowned by the winter wind. A black star would land on the ice, then blossom into 1,000 cracks. The next car over would disappear under enemy fire. My Dedush didn't live to be 100 this year. He didn't see Russians kidnapping Ukrainian children, selling the country's grain to summon hunger in his land and abroad, like a sorcerer summoning spirits with the flick of a hand. 80 years ago, he drove forth into the darkness. The food he carried warmed his path. The smoldering flame reminded him where to seek the light. Grigory Yevdokimovich, it is there, the flame of your life, smoldering still. Thank you so much.